Rising ground, folks. What we have here is another video. This one is a 100K BTU, 90% train. And I don't have much space here, but quick rundown. Whenever you open up these 90%ers, always open the cover of the intake box. And a lot of bees and insects, you'll be surprised, a lot of debris will build up here. And anytime you have debris near your burners, that could eventually cause issues with the burner. So you always want to keep your burners in general, or the burner box area, clean. And flame sensor just got cleaned, so that's preventative. You definitely want the flame sensor to not have any oxidation on it. The igniter was okay. Also, there was like a lot of surface dust, which is to be expected. Like I said, this unit is plus 10, but we just had to clean just a lot of surface dust and debris off the inducer motor, amps on the inducer motor. Everything is good there. Filter is good, but however, the cap here is giving us a red flag. So that's a 15. There you go. That is no bueno. So we'll definitely speak with the customer about this. A weak cap could eventually disturb operations with that motor, eventually causing the amps to go up and burning out the blow motor. I believe we already replaced the capacitor on the condenser over the summer, but yeah, guys, purpose of the maintenance is to avoid breakdowns. And if this could avoid a $9,000 or potentially $1,000 motor, if this is an ECM, well, this is an ECM, but blow motors, especially on certain brands, could be expensive. So anytime you can avoid breakdowns, you definitely want to do that. So we'll definitely bring this by the customer's attention and see what we got. All right, guys, this is part 2. Instead of going to replace the first floor capacitor, I told the customer I will look at the other unit. This is the attic furnace, and this furnace is in good shape. Flame sensor is a little dirty. We can clean that. Igniter is still within range. Inducer is rocking and rolling. The only thing, and the filter is clean, the only thing that is once again concerning is this 15 microfarad capacitor. And the other one, out of 15, it was only like a 10.5, 10.6. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, that's not good. So guys, if you didn't already know, every capacitor, whether it's a run or a dual, you're gonna have a tolerance. Now, not being at 15, I always tell customers it's not the end of the world. This manufacturer gives it, every manufacturer gives capacitors a plus or minus tolerance range. So plus or minus 15 is like a 14.94, around there, but it's very close to 15. But if this thing is at like a 13 or less, at that point I'll then inform the customer that this capacitor is on its way out. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what you want to avoid having to replace. Now, if you had to do it, cool, but once again, the purpose of the maintenance is to avoid future breakdowns. And if that means we got to replace capacitors, then so be it. I think the customer will definitely be more than willing to avoid paying a couple $100 more. And you know, when these things will break down, it's going to be at the coldest or the warmest day of the year. But like I said, this is definitely something that we always check. And unfortunately, fortunately, this capacitor was easier to get to. But on some brands, they put the capacitor on the far back side of the furnace. Now, I know it could suck with you guys having to pull the motor out to check the capacitor, but keep in mind, like I said, you know, for what it's worth, you know, to avoid this breakdown, like I said, you know, and unfortunately this unit isn't that easy to get to, so I don't think anything was ever replaced on this particular unit. So I'll definitely let the customer know both of these capacitors need to get replaced. See you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, I'm back at the truck. And rule of thumb, you always want to test these before you go in and show the customer, because I actually seen this happen before, in which there was a weak one out of the box, brand new, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah, you see that? 15 out of 15, that's what you want. So I'm gonna pop both of these in. But yeah, guys, like I said, as far as the maintenance, like you always want to, if there is something that could potentially go out, you know, I always use the analogy of the car mechanic. You know, if a car mechanic does an oil change on your car, or your brake pads are damn near shot to the point where, like I said, something's gonna fall off, and he doesn't tell you anything because he don't want to tell you bad news, and you pull off the lock, and God forbid the brakes lock up on you, you know, first thing you're gonna say is, hey, you just looked at the car, how come you didn't tell me about XYZ? So, you know, like I said, breakdowns are always unfortunate. So anytime you have the opportunity, like us as trade professionals, you always want to make sure, like I said, you can just avoid breakdowns. So there you guys have it. I'm gonna pop both of these new capacitors in, and we're gonna head to our next job here. So I'll see you guys in the next one.